The Chris Watts case, a disturbing family tragedy. The Chris Watts case is one of the most chilling and disturbing true crime stories in recent history. On the surface, Chris appeared to be a devoted husband and father, but beneath that facade, he was harboring a dark secret, one that would lead to the tragic deaths of his pregnant wife, Shanann Watts, and their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste. This is a detailed, in-depth breakdown of the events, the investigation, and the shocking confession that unraveled the truth. Chris Watts and Shanann Watts seemed like the perfect American family. They lived in Frederick, Colorado, a quiet suburban town. Chris Watts, 33, worked for Anadarko Petroleum as an operator. Shanann Watts, 34, was a thriving social media influencer and worked in direct sales for a company called Lavelle Thrive, which promoted health and wellness products. They had two daughters, Bella, 4, and Celeste, 3. Shanann was 15 weeks pregnant with their third child, a baby boy they planned to name Nico. Their lives appeared to be happy and stable from the outside. Shanann frequently shared videos and photos on social media, documenting their marriage and family life. But behind closed doors, Chris was hiding something. In June 2018, just months before the murders, Chris Watts began an affair with a coworker, Nicole Kessinger, a 30-year-old geologist at Anadarko. Kessinger later told investigators that Chris claimed he was in the process of divorcing Shanann and wanted to start a new life with her. The two exchanged explicit texts and photos, went on dates, and even discussed finding an apartment together. Chris became emotionally detached from his wife and children, spending more time with Nicole and less time at home. Shanann noticed the changes in Chris's behavior. He was distant, uninterested in intimacy, and avoided family activities. She suspected something was wrong, but she never imagined the horror that was about to unfold. Sunday, August 12, 2018. Shanann was on a business trip in Arizona with her friend, Nicole Atkinson. That evening, she texted Chris, trying to reconnect, but he was distant. Shanann confided in Nicole that Chris wasn't acting like himself and that she suspected he was having an affair. Monday, August 13th, 2018, the murders. 1:48 a.m., Shanann's flight from Arizona landed in Colorado. 2 a.m., Nicole Atkinson dropped Shanann off at her home. Chris was already inside. 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. Investigators believe Chris strangled Shanann to death in their bedroom. 5 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. He then loaded her body into his truck. Shortly after, he woke up Bella and Celeste, placed them in the truck alive, and drove to an isolated oil field where he worked. At the oil field, Cervi 319 site, a remote location owned by his employer, he smothered 3-year-old Celeste first and dropped her body into one of the crude oil tanks. 4-year-old Bella witnessed her sister's murder and pleaded, "Daddy, please don't do to me what you did to Cece." Chris then smothered Bella and dropped her body into the second oil tank. He buried Shanann in a shallow grave nearby. Monday, August 13th, 2018, morning. The missing persons report. Shanann had a scheduled OB/GYN appointment that morning but never showed up. Nicole Atkinson, her friend, grew worried and went to the Watts house around 12:10 p.m. She rang the doorbell, but no one answered. Nicole called Chris, who claimed Shanann had taken the kids on a play date. 1:40 p.m., police arrive at the Watts home. Frederick police officer Scott Coonrod responded to Nicole's 911 call. Chris arrived minutes later, acting strangely calm. Body cam footage captured Chris nervously talking to officers, avoiding eye contact. Officers searched the house but found no sign of Shanann or the kids. Only her purse, phone, and medication were left behind. Chris's alibi didn't make sense. In the following days, Chris appeared on local news stations, pleading for his family's return. His body language was detached. He lacked emotion and never cried. He failed a polygraph test conducted by the FBI. The pressure was building, and detectives knew he was hiding something. August 15th, 2018. Chris finally admits to the murders. After hours of interrogation, Chris finally cracked, but he lied about how it happened. He claimed Shanann killed the kids in a fit of rage, and he strangled her in retaliation. Investigators didn't believe him. The next day, he confessed to the full truth. He murdered his entire family because he wanted a new life with Nicole Kessinger. Chris led police to the Survey 319 oil site, where they recovered the bodies of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. November 6th, 2018. Chris accepts a plea deal. To avoid the death penalty, Chris pleaded guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder, unlawful termination of a pregnancy for baby Nico, 3 counts of tampering with a deceased body. November 19th, 2018. Sentencing. Chris Watts was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole. He is currently incarcerated at Dodge Correctional Institution in Wisconsin. Nicole Kessinger's involvement. She claimed she had no idea Chris was still married and was shocked by the murders. She changed her name and went into hiding due to backlash from the public. Chris Watts went from being a family man to a convicted murderer in the span of just a few months. His selfish desire for a new life led him to murder his wife and children in cold blood. The case is a haunting reminder that sometimes the people closest to us are hiding the darkest secrets.